The Philadelphia Eagles are back out on the road on Monday night, taking on the Chargers, trying to somehow resurrect their season. And all the convo this week has been about whether or not Nick Sirianni will change play callers. He is persistent. The answer is no, but they did something similar in 2023. So could it happen again? And a former Eagles legend made a suggestion this week that I think is actually really good. So we'll talk about that, and we'll break down a few of the main keys for the Eagles to try to somehow get their season back on track. All that and more coming up here on A to Z Philly, but welcome into the show. I am RB, and listen, man, I am getting sick and tired of coming up here and talking about the matchups and the stats and what the Eagles need to do and how they can take advantage. Simply put, they need to not beat themselves. And last week I said it was a must-win game. They got embarrassed, so now they are on the brink of collapse, so they better wake up, and I want to hear from you down in the comment section. How do you feel about this team? Do they have any chance of salvaging this season? We're going to talk about the preview. We'll get there later on, but we have to start it off with something that happened in 2023, because all week, Nick Sirianni has been pestered. Are you going to change the play caller? You've had 10 days off. It's kind of like a mini bye week. Will you make a change? And Nick Sirianni has been persistent that the answer is no. He says he is sticking with his guy, Kevin Patullo. But if we go back a couple years, Eagles did the same thing with Sean Desai. During the week, out of nowhere, actually, it might have been even before a game, we got this update from Jay Glazer, who says that Philly very quietly made a change at defensive coordinator, taking Sean Desai and moving him and bringing in Matt Patricia. So the Eagles have done this before. Obviously, it exploded in their face, and it did not work out at all. So maybe they would be a little hesitant there. But you have guys on the inside, whether it's Parks Frazier or Scott Loeffler, guys who maybe want to become a coordinator and, get a head coach job one day. Would any of those be better than Patullo? Who knows? I mean, we don't really know those guys, right? But based on what we've seen week after week, does it hurt to try? I don't think so. I think it would be good to shake things up and get a bit of a different perspective offensively. So could that happen? I don't know. We'll see who's holding the clipboard on Monday night. Something tells me Sirianni is going to stick with his best friend in Kevin Patullo. But one former Eagles legend has been secretly crapping on Kevin Patullo, and that is Nick Foles, Super Bowl champion, who a couple weeks ago in his podcast says the route tree is too simplistic. DBs are reading it too easily. Kevin Patullo is a great guy. He's a great person. He's a great father and all that. But there is an art to play calling, and Kevin Patullo does not have it. So who called plays for Nick Foles? The guy that he's actually recommending to bring back to the Philadelphia Eagles as a consultant. Keep in mind, the Eagles brought Vic Fangio back as a consultant in the 2022 Super Bowl, and then they ended up hiring him a year later to be their coordinator. Nick Foles says that the Eagles should bring back Frank Reich as an offensive consultant. Frank Reich was the interim head coach for Stanford. He is now available. The Eagles need to bring this guy back because Nick Sirianni was Frank Reich's offensive coordinator. Frank Reich was Doug Peterson's offensive coordinator. And if you remember when Carson Wentz went down in 2017, it was Frank Reich's offensive genius that created a game plan in 2 weeks, which turned Nick Foles into an elite quarterback in the playoffs and made this guy look like a superstar and helped Philadelphia capture their first Super Bowl. So what does it hurt at this point? Whether it's Dougie P, whether it's Frank, call somebody up, get a different set of eyes, and bring them in and let them put their offensive knowledge to work. I think this is a really good idea. Shoot. The way Nick Foles is talking in this clip, I might even bring him back to be an offensive consultant. The Eagles need a breath of fresh air, and they need to try something else. And I think Frank Reich could actually be the perfect recipe for that. So let me know your thoughts, because as there was a bunch of Twitter reaction to this, have you watched the current coaches? If Frank Reich can sit down in a bye week and build an offense that helped Nick Foles deliver arguably the greatest 2-game run of postseason quarterback play, I think he'd add value. I agree. It hasn't worked out for Frank Reich as a head coach, but let me tell you something. He was a pretty damn good coordinator. But as of right now, it seems like the Eagles are going to operate on the basis that Kevin Patullo is the offensive coordinator. So let's talk about this matchup. Do the Eagles have any chance of winning this game and resurrecting their season? Eagles injury report. Lane Johnson going to miss this game. Jalen Carter, as we talked about a few days ago, had an operation on both of his shoulders. Saquon, Jalen Phillips, Jahan Dotson limited. Seems like they're all going to play. And the Eagles could be getting Marcus Epps back, which is huge. I think Vic Fangio wants to play Marcus Epps over Sidney Brown. So what about the other side? Well, the LA Chargers' big injury is surrounding Justin Herbert, right? With the broken hand, he has been limited at practice. I still don't think he's going to play, but it seems like he's been out there for walkthroughs and they're trying to get him back to speed. If not, it'll be Trey Lance, who, I mean, at one time was a really promising young player. And I feel like he's had a really messed up career trajectory, but who's to say he can't come out and light you up for a game? Also, Amarian Hampton, the rookie running back for the Chargers, might come back this week. They've had really good production from other players like Kamani Vidal and a few others as well. But if Amarian Hampton can get back on the field this week, that adds another dynamic to the LA Chargers running game, and everybody else is pretty much a full participant. So it all comes down to the Philadelphia Eagles and their ability to actually play a competent offensive game. And every week we come out and we talk about all these different matchups. I'm not going to do that this week. Here's the fact of the matter. The Eagles need to come out, not run the same 15 plays. They need to establish a run game, and they need to feed their best weapons. I think the defense is going to come out and, have a pretty solid start to this game. You look at the Chargers, their offensive line is completely banged up. They have lost both of their tackles for the year. They have a really good run game. They have a couple solid receivers in Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen and guys like that. Even Aronde Gradson has emerged ever since he was inserted earlier in the season. And they have guys that they can spread the ball around too. But really the cream of the crop with this Chargers team is their defense. They have Tuli Tuipulotu, which is the brother of former Eagle Marlon Tuipulotu. He has 10 sacks on the year. He's tied for 8th in the NFL right now. They have Khalil Mack, a couple other big players as well. Their secondary is pretty solid. I'm not even looking at the Chargers mostly. I'm looking at the Eagles. Can they not beat themselves? Can they not turn the ball over? Can they not go 5 drives in a row where they don't get a first down and you're going, 1 minute and 15 seconds and then you're off the field? Those things are not going to win you ball games. The Chargers are 8-4. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're bad. I think they're well coached by Harbaugh, and I think they are setting a new standard there. Obviously, injuries come into play, but the Philadelphia Eagles need to stop messing around. Last week, they were embarrassing. I don't know if I can pick them to win because every time we expect them to come out and throw the ball to AJ Devontae and, run it with Saquon and break off a big run and, where the heck's Tank Bigsby? There's just so many factors that I'm starting to question whether or not this Eagles team really has it this year. Jalen Hurts has been pretty bad the last couple games. He needs to go out there, hit his throws with precision, and make good decisions. They need to get back to designing some runs for Jalen. Maybe run with the RPOs a little bit. Just shake it up. The Eagles' offense is way too predictable, and it's just so annoying at this point. Now, something solid the Eagles could hang their hat on this week is that Justin Herbert leads the league in how many times a quarterback has gotten pressured. He's at 196, which is 13 more than the second highest. So teams are getting at Justin Herbert. And this ferocious Eagles pass rush, which is obviously going to lack Jalen Carter now, but led by Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith and Jalen Phillips and all these guys, can probably get at Justin Herbert. They can probably hit him early. Who knows? Maybe he won't even stay in for the rest of the game if he does play. But again, I don't think the Eagles defense is enough to win this game single-handedly. And I think the Chargers, again, are just finding ways to win. They've had some really bad losses this year, but they've also had some decent wins as well. So they're a hard team to gauge right now. So at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles have us in a toxic relationship right now. The highs are really high, the lows are really low, but somehow we just keep finding our way back. And last week I said it was a must win. The Eagles had to make a statement and they came out and got embarrassed. So you know what? Call it reverse psychology, whatever. I am not picking the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game. Until they build my trust back, I am picking them to lose. I think the defense will make some big stops. They'll keep them in this game. But ultimately, going up against the third-ranked defense in the NFL, I just have no confidence that Kevin Patullo who Nick Sirianni said will remain the play caller this week, is going to come up with a formidable game plan. So I am picking the Chargers to win this game 26-17, and the Eagles could be going up against whoever they want. Justin Herbert, Trey Lance, Matt Schwab, Josh McCown, Tommy DeVito, Kevin Kolb. It doesn't matter. The Eagles need to stop worrying about the other team and stop beating themselves. And until they do that, I can't pick them. So I'm taking the Chargers 26-17. The Chargers are in the midst of a playoff run as well, and they get a big win, and the Eagles suffer another tough loss. But those are all my thoughts. Give me yours down below. How do you think this game is going to go? Drop your final score prediction. As always, appreciate y'all for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.